can't believe you don't watch
feel like
Stranger
no
Things.
news. No,
I feel like that would have been your thing.
no, not at all, man.
Really?
At all. When,
Bruh,
that first season when they went to that other world and it was like the upside down. It was like all these creatures. Like, nah, I finished it. Like, I'm a person when I start the show, I'll finish it. But
it's not. Nah. See, you got to get into the second season and the third season, man. I really feel like
I'm also not really. I'm not really care for like the old throwback nostalgic type stuff.
Okay, I mean that aspect is nice, I think, but it's not. It doesn't rest its laurels.
It's probably a good story written, but just the sci-fi, the monsters, like, man, okay. Like, I'd rather just hear the story and, like, skip the monsters part. They still got monsters, I'm assuming?
I mean, I can't give you the...
You can tell me if there's monsters or not. I saw season 1.
I don't know.
Oh, shoot. I guess we'll never know, shoot.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, I'm watching...
Giving out spoilers.
I'm watching some of The Boys right now, though.
Oh, yeah, The Boys is
The Boys.
They pushed the limit, but...
That's wild right there.
They pushed the limit a little too far, but...
It's a show to watch. Somebody said watch Old Man. Have you heard of Old Man?
Oh, man.
You watched it?
It's good. I've only watched one episode.
What platform is that?
How you gonna say it's good then if you've only watched one episode? Because like, hey, you need to watch the show.
Only 3 are out, but episode 1. Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champion AB. Alongside him is my guy, Dio the Machine. Guys, I want to settle this debate once and for all. Let's talk about the Chargers for a second. Who will finish the season top dog? Keenan Allen or my guy, Mike Williams? Who finishes top dog?
Oh, man, that's tough. That's tough. I think if I had to pick one.
Just one.
I'm probably going to go with Mike Williams. And I say that for a couple of different reasons. I couldn't argue with anyone who wanted to go Keenan Allen. I think currently his ADP is higher, although I think in certain formats it's getting a lot closer, particularly in the best ball formats. But in redraft, we had, this kind of third, fifth round order to it. And I see that gap closing, like draft by draft, to the point where I'm seeing Mike Williams in the third round, and part of that might be myself pushing that ADP up. But the real reason why I think I'm leaning more Mike Williams is not necessarily because I'm like dead set that he's going to outscore, out-target, outproduce Keenan Allen. It's just that I see two different guys who are at different trajectories in their career. And so for Keenan Allen, I want to be 1 year early as far as kind of getting off the Keenan Allen train. And for Mike Williams, this is the year I finally want to jump on. I wasn't a huge Mike Williams fan last year because I felt like he was more boom bust. And early in the season, it looked like to be a bad decision. And then for whatever reason, whether it was injuries, just poor play, defense is catching on, changing the offensive scheme because their defense was, whatever. We saw that dip in production. But then towards the back end of the year, last couple of games, he seemed to really pick it up. So I see a player in Mike Williams who, when I went back and watched some of the film, it looked like he was doing a lot more than just running deep routes. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a guy who's a true possession receiver. I don't think that he's this elite talent, in the way that we think of other potential, superstar or breakout wide receivers that could really take over that, top 4, top 5 wide receiver position. But I think he has enough athleticism. I think that offense is high powered enough. And I love the fact that Herbert, targeted him so often in the end zone and in the red zone. And he wasn't as successful as he likely should have been last year, and I just think that's just something that they can, definitely grow on. And I look at this offense. This offense, to me, is not going to change much from a standpoint of how they move the ball. I know they drafted the rookie Spiller, but, and Eckler's not someone you're just going to be running in between the tackles. So I still think that this offense runs through Herbert, okay? And I still like Keenan Allen, but if it's between the two, give me the guy that, is potentially ascending and could potentially have a breakout year. And he's someone who doesn't need 150, 160 targets to do that. He can have 120, 130 targets and produce like a Jamar Chase where he's, he has a large ADOT, large, a significant yardage after the catch when compared to someone like a Keenan Allen, who I feel like, even though he's still getting open, that athleticism is starting to fade. And I think we've seen, a couple people put out some posts on Twitter as far as metrics where, we're seeing a little bit of decline in his overall skill set. So for me, I find myself not really wanting to go after Keenan in the third. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I just think the upside that I'm looking for in that third round pick, even though it's a safe, nice floor, and you can win with that, even though it's a safe, nice floor, I think the upside for me, I think, is limited.
Yeah. Dio, who are you taking?
I'm going Keenan Allen. So the thing with the Keenan Allen-Mike Williams debate right now, I think people, when they're looking at Mike Williams, they're projecting him to take this leap. Like they're projecting to take it to the next level. And they're almost just kind of just saying, like, ignoring the possibility that he can just be who he is. Or he can, and when I say be who he is, we can say what he looked like last year, or we can really say what he looked like prior to last year, where he wasn't really showing as much as that type of potential, you could say, or that type of ability or output. Last year was his breakout season, and even still, he wasn't the main guy on the team. And I like Mike Williams. I like his profile. He was a first round draft pick. I want to say he was the number 7 overall pick. So high draft capital and all that stuff, and they gave him a very nice contract. But at the end of the day, if I was to choose or make a bet as far as who Herbert would trust in a high, like, risky or basically a major needed type possession, I feel like he'll go Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is the possession guy. He's the better route runner. Now, Keenan Allen doesn't have as much of a deep threat as Mike Williams does. And that's fine. He's never really had that, but Keenan Allen still always produced. I've seen the metrics where people talk about, he's kind of look like he's kind of going down in production. And, it's possible he is getting older, but at the same time, he's always dealt with these little nicks and bruises. And, injuries sap production a lot of times.
Especially over time.
I don't think we could just look at that and say he just isn't good anymore. I feel like he's still good, and I think we're kind of overthinking it a little bit. It's almost like I feel like people are downing Keenan Allen because they want to up Mike Williams. And you gotta take a stand, choose who you're gonna go with. And I'm not gonna tell somebody don't take Mike Williams, because I can definitely see the path. I just haven't seen it yet. While with Keenan Allen, I have seen it. He's older, but he's still younger than other receivers. I mean, he's younger than Devontae Adams. He's probably Cooper Kupp's age, or maybe a year older. So it's not like he's just a dead man walking or anything like that. And definitely I want to be in that offense. So I definitely want to get a piece of them. And again, if I had to choose, it would definitely be Keenan Allen.
And again, like I said, like I have no issue with anyone taking Keenan. And for me, it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm not going to take Keenan in the third round, so I'm going to draft Mike Williams as a replacement. That's not what I'm saying. One reason I have, quite a few shares of Mike Williams is because he was going in the 5th round. So it was like, do I want a 3rd round Keenan Allen, or do I want a 5th round Mike Williams? And to me, the difference there, and with the potential upside with the Mike Williams, that 2-round gap didn't really make sense to me. I felt like they should be a lot closer, particularly in a large field format where you need someone to be able to really explode for you. And I felt like, again, I'm worried that Keenan can't get you that upside.
So let's stay on this topic for a second about who's going to finish top dog. I want to go to Miami for a second. I think everyone sees Tyreek Hill as the person who's going to be finishing as top dog there. He's going front end of the 3rd round, back end of the 2nd sometimes. Waddle, who's going to finish top dog there? Are we sure that Tyreek is the guy to own in that Miami offense?
Man, you talking about overthinking the situation. To me, I think this is one that we are all overthinking, and I've been overthinking it. So anytime like I'm having this battle, this internal battle, I just go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Number one, I feel like Tyreek Hill is about to alpha the hell out of that situation. Like I feel like he's going to be the alpha dog. We've seen him. We've seen him. Like he's not even on the Kansas City Chiefs, and he can't keep Patrick Mahomes' name out of his mouth about not getting enough targets. And dude got over 140 or whatever targets last year. So, and you've already seen him like really, talk about Tua as being this amazing quarterback. Yeah. Beautiful ball thrown his way, extremely accurate. So he's saying all the right things. But they also traded for Tyreek Hill, gave up a lot, and they paid him a lot. Made him one of the highest, if not the highest, paid wide receiver in the league in history. So the idea that the offensive coordinator and the GM aren't consciously thinking that we want to give up so much and pay so much for this guy only to have him play second fiddle to Waddle. Yeah. Okay? And I like Waddle. I like Waddle's perspective, but he is not Tyreek Hill, from as far as what he's accomplished, what he's been able to do, and what he can do on the field. Could he get there? Potentially, But I just think that there's just so much that they have thrown in our face as far as the trade, the money that they're giving him, and just Tyreek Hill, what he brings to the offense. There's so much they're throwing into our face about him being the number one guy that, again, this is another one where you're seeing Tyreek Hill go at the beginning of the third round and Waddle going at the end of the third round. And to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense because Tua is, in many cases, in a non-best ball format going undrafted. So, and Gesicki is, going as one of these mid-later round tight ends. So there's a disconnect there that needs to be, resolved. So, but, yeah, give me Tyreek Hill. I've come to the conclusion that I have no issue drafting Tyreek Hill where he's going currently.
But do you guys think that a quarterback like Tua can actually support two receivers that both give you third-round value?
I do. 100% I do. 100% I do. And I need to probably start diversifying my shares. I'm just waiting for those Waddle shares to come down a bit.
Okay.
For me, I'm not overthinking it at all. It's Tyreek Hill for me.
Okay.
And I've never really second guessed it. A lot of the points Abby just made are the exact reasons why I'm on Tyreek Hill. Y'all know I'm a contract guy, and I feel like teams tell you their intentions about how they allocate their money, and they gave Tyreek Hill such a big contract. I really feel like when a team gives a player a very big contract, like a historical contract, they have to basically get their money's worth. They have to actually prove that the investment was worth it. And with Tyreek Hill, this guy, we called him a human joystick. He's usually the fastest guy on the field. He can make plays in totally different ways. He can be a deep threat. He can be a guy that you just throw a hitch to. He can run slants. You can put him in the backfield. You can give him reverses. There's so many ways you can actually have him be a playmaker for your team. I feel like the Dolphins are going to try to utilize him in all those ways, if not more. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do like a Wildcat with Tyreek Hill.
Little Debo action.
Yeah, because he's one of those players just get the ball in his hands, and he always makes things happen.
Yeah.
And then the other point that Abby made was just what he's been saying lately. He's been talking about the fact that he wasn't getting targets or they weren't using him as enough.
But he was.
Right, and that's the thing. He was to us, but to him he wasn't. So it lets you know that what he got that we felt like he should be satisfied with, that's not satisfying him. He wants more than that.
And let it not be mistaken. Like these dudes are talking, behind closed doors. They were likely talking before the trade, and Miami probably reached out and the head coach probably reached out like, tell us what's going on. Like, why are you trading Tyreek Hill, this amazing wide receiver? And then they probably reached out to Tyreek Hill's agent, like, tell us what's going on. What was his issue? What were his gripes with the Chiefs? Because they want to make sure all of that is resolved so that he is not a headache while he is there in Miami. And sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes a guy's just going to be a guy. Yeah. But that's why I keep going back because, sometimes, you keep talking, you're going to get fed, right? Yeah. So, and to me, exactly. So, to me, if you're looking at a Tyreek Hill versus a Waddle, a second-year player, who's more likely to be in Tua's ear talking about man,
Tyreek
you missed
easy.
me on that on that post. So that's what I said. He's just gonna alpha his way to number one wide receiver.
And the fact that he's talking so much, it's almost like he's making himself the face of that team or offense. Where it's like, when you come play Miami, I'm the guy you have to stop.
Right.
Like, he's always putting a target on his back. And that's the target for the other team to notice, and also the target for his own team to know. It's like, hey, guys, I'm talking so much, I need to back it up. Make sure I have the opportunity to back it up. Right. Now, the other question you asked, as far as whether I think they could both return third round value.
Not third round, but you said support 2 wide receivers.
Well, support 2, but 2 because Waddle is what, like back end of the third round?
Early fourth, or somewhere in the fourth.
One of them is going to outproduce their ADP.
Oh, I don't know about that. We'll see, but I it's not a hard no for me. It's a reluctant no. I don't think he can, but I can see it possibly occurring. What I think the biggest takeaway in all this is, I've said it before, but I think Tua is severely underrated. Because even if Tua doesn't have the best arm, he has weapons everywhere. If all these weapons are passing options, you have 2 big receivers, a franchise tag tight end. You have a running back that excels in the passing game. So it's not like somebody else is going to throw them the ball. For them to actually succeed in the receiving game, it's going to have to be an extension of a ball coming out of Tua's hands. So if they are successful, then Tua is going to produce, and nobody's drafted him like that.
And they improved the offensive line. And they also brought in Cedric, Wilson.
And the biggest thing is the coach. They brought in a coach with this mind, this offensive, I don't know exactly what he did with the 49ers, but for what I've heard, he's a guy that has this
big in their run game.
Yeah,
but he's I think he's a head coach. I think has had his I won't say his hand, but has been involved in multiple aspects.
Well,
of
yeah,
the team,
everybody you've heard talk about in the past has worked with him, talked about how bright he is and the type of schemes that he cooks up with his mind, and you have that type of player coming, his first opportunity. We don't know how long he's been waiting to be a head coach, but this is his opportunity. He's going to try to show out, and I just think with Tua, we're looking at him at his extreme floor, almost lower than his floor, because, we just talked about the Chargers wide receivers. Keenan Allen is going after Tyreek Hill. Mike Williams was almost going after Jaylen Waddle for a fair amount of time. It might be a lot closer now. So if we're taking Herbert where we're taking Herbert, knowing that he has those weapons, why are we not considering taking Tua? I'm not saying as high as Herbert, but higher than where, like Abby said, he's probably going undrafted in some drafts. So I think there's a disconnect there.
I'll stand by it. I've actually been over the last few weeks thinking about Tyreek Hill and where he currently is going, because I feel like right now his positioning is just a hedge by the entire fantasy community. New team, quarterback downgrade. We don't know about the offense. They got Waddle there. Let's just throw him here at the back end of the third round.
Okay, but if you say that, who would you consider having him jump over? Mike Evans?
It's not who I could. So it's not necessarily who I consider him jumping over. I feel that one of those guys is going to outperform their ADP. Right. So I think if I'm looking at the end of the year, who could I see him outperforming? I could see him outperforming, Mike Evans. Okay. Definitely Deebo Samuels. I could see him outperforming Devontae Adams. I could see him outperforming CeeDee Lamb. As much as I like CeeDee Lamb, I can see him outperforming 4 of those guys because he's an electric talent. And if you put him in an offense where, again, they paid him this amount of money and they gave up this amount of capital to trade for him, if they really, really want to use this guy, like a year ago, if you had to rank Tyreek Hill in his athleticism and his natural receiving skills and just as a football player versus Deebo, what would you have said? How would you have ranked that? So, and I'm not saying that the two aren't close now, but I think we're losing sight of how athletic, how great a football player Tyreek Hill is, how much of a cheat code he is. So if things go right, to me, he's a lock to finish in as an easy wide receiver. And if they go more than okay, he could really smash his ADP.
Well, y'all know I'm not high on Deebo anyway, so that that type of analogy won't work for me. But let's look at Diggs. You think there's a possibility he can outperform Diggs?
There's a possibility. I at no point in this offseason do I see myself ever taking him over Diggs because I know what Diggs' situation is. Okay. And to me, this is one thing I'm going to just say about Diggs real quick. 170 targets and I think he was like 65% catch rate or something like that. Something that was well below his career low. And that's something that could easily be corrected. And he got massive amounts of end zone target. Not end zone target. I think he led the league. So Diggs is a special situation where like he can outperform Diggs, but just based off of that alone, based off of not much changing with Diggs, I can never put him ahead of Diggs.
So then what you're really saying is you feel like his real value, Tyreek Hill, should if all things go well, it should be at the early second.
So instead of let's say tier wise, I feel like he should be in the Devontae Adams tier.
But you said over Devontae Adams, right?
I'm saying I could see him finishing over Devontae Adams. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So let me add another one to this. Let's talk about Devontae Adams for a second. And in a tight end premium league, who do you think finishes top dog, Devontae Adams or Darren Waller?
Adams.
Oh yeah, that's not close. Adams.
Yeah,
I think Hunter Renfrow probably finish over Waller.
I'm low on Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, I think he may finish over Waller.
I'm low. I think Waller is next, number 2.
Yeah.
I think Renfrow is going to take a big dip.
Even with the chemistry of being in that system.
I'm buying into the system. I'm buying into what slot receivers have done. I'm buying into the chemistry. And I'm buying into Renfrow being
what
really
system
good
are
wide
y'all talking
receiver.
about? They have a totally new coaching staff.
That's what I'm saying. That coaching staff.
Yeah, but
coaching
he's had that rapport with Carr.
Had slot receivers that have killed.
No, what I'm saying is, you're saying he's used to the system. He's not used to the system because he's never played in the system.
I'm saying I like the system for him.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah,
but that system
supports,
has also produced tight ends as well.
Yeah, but that system more targets the slot receivers. Their tight ends that have been produced because they've had amazing yak and they've had I think and it was Gronk essentially.
Darren Waller
it wasn't like they were always heavily targeted. Darren Waller has lived off targets.
Darren Waller also has the rapport with. I think he has more of a rapport with Carr than Renfrow. And Darren Waller also has the talent profile to get those targets and have a lot of yak. And again, that system with the Patriots has produced high end tight ends. With Renfrow really kind of came through a lot last year. I think a lot of that came when Waller was out. Because remember, Waller was out for a good amount of the season last year. Mm-hmm. Immediately when Waller came back, he immediately became the top target guy over Renfrow for the Raiders. And that was like game 1. Oh, okay. So going back to Devontae Adams again, it kind of goes to what we were saying with Tyreek Hill. The way they paid him, I want to say, is Adams the number 1 paid wide receiver right now?
I think he is.
No, he's number 2.
Okay.
I think his deal came before Tyreek Hill.
So Tyreek is number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say
well, regardless, they gave him that type of bag where it's like, we can't not use you. Like we have to justify giving you all this money. And again, he has the. I'm not saying the rapport as far as recent rapport, but he went to college with Carr. Like that was Carr's wide receiver in college.
That's significant.
And I saw a report that said Adams and Carr were talking about teaming up a year ago. Like it's not even like something they recently.
We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's not even something they recently were just like on a limb, like hey, or on a whim, like hey, let's just get together. But they actually considered this in the past.
They're close.
And you can. When you hear Adams talk about leaving the package, you can see it's something he thought long and hard about. It's not easy to just say, "Hey, I'm going to leave." Arguably the best quarterback in the league right now, who's actually provided me all these stats. I don't want to say made me look great, but we've had this type of relationship that has made both of us look awesome. Yeah. I think he caught his record-breaking touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. So they have that. They have that bond, and he still is just like, I'm gonna go to the Raiders. Yeah. So that's why for me, Adams is easily, no question, the number 1 guy there.
Oh yeah.
As far as Waller is concerned, I think last year because he was gone so long, we forgot how dominant Waller can be. Mm-hmm. Waller came into the league as a wide receiver with the Ravens. He converted to tight end. So he has that wide receiver skill set. He still has the speed. He still has the almost a slender build. Mm-hmm. And he's worked on his blocking. So now he's able to stay on the field a lot longer. Now that he's healthy, especially if he gets this contract. Well, okay, so if he doesn't get paid, he's almost going to be playing for a contract. So that's actually a plus for him a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. But if he does get paid, and if he gets paid the way he thinks he should get paid, then it's almost going to be the same situation where it's like, if we're going to give you this money, we have to justify it by actually utilizing you. That's just how I kind of see the situation. again,
I feel like if he doesn't get paid, they're kind of telling you that, okay, look, maybe we're moving away from.
Well, no, he has 2 years left on his contract, I believe.
Okay.
So he wants to get that security.
Yeah.
You know, which all these players right now, honestly, they're all doing. T-Mac did it. DK is doing it. Debo is doing it to some extent.
Yeah.
These guys just want. And if you look at Waller's contract, he's getting paid like a fraction of what other tight ends are getting paid. Like a fraction.
Yeah.
So he just wants to just get his worth to some extent. I don't even know if he wants to be the highest paid tight end. He just wants to be appreciated by his salary, you know, and he's not getting that. So
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I'm not drafting Hunter Renfrow over Waller. If in a vacuum, I'm gonna draft Waller. But I would not be surprised at all if Hunter Renfrow outscored Darren Waller again. And again,
in a tight end premium.
In the tight end premium. And again, this is a new offense. Yeah, again, this is a new offense. I think Hunter Renfrow, if you watch the tape, and specifically his like red zone tape, you know, when he's targeted around the goal line, like they have that Cup Stafford connection. Like his route combination, you know, his skill level, and being able to just get open at the goal line, I think is something that's very, very impressive. I think it's something that fits what Carr likes to do. He likes to throw to open guys as opposed to throwing like contested balls.
Right.
And I have no issue again with, you know, drafting Waller. I don't like where he's going personally, but saying that Waller will outscore Renfrow, but I think it's closer than, you know.
Right, but I think that goal line, him being a goal line, you know, target monster last year was a direct correlation to Waller being out. I really do think that, because those games where he was really producing, you know, there was no other options on the offense, really. I mean, Brian Edwards, maybe? Wasn't Brian Edwards their top receiver for a long time?
Yeah, but that says something, that he was still able to dominate in that type of environment.
Well, I mean, you got to throw the ball to somebody.
Well, you say that, but he was the one that they threw it to.
Right, like, but that's what I'm saying.
You earned targets.
Who else could they have thrown it to, though?
You earned targets. I think even when Waller came back, I don't think he was necessarily balling out.
Waller, the first game back, he got a good target share. Like, I think he out-targeted Renfrow. And we could look it up, but I remember watching that game because I was high on Waller. I had Waller on a lot of dynasty teams. And that first game back, he was being used. Now, I'll say this. If they're in the red zone, and now, obviously Renfrow's there, but now Waller's back healthy, and now they got Adams. Who was the guy getting the target, if you were to bet?
Oh, it's got to be Adams mostly.
Right.
But it'll be spread around. He's not going to get all of them.
Of course. Nobody gets all of them. But I would think
Renfro's going in the 8th, 9th round right there. Or sorry, the 8th round.
I mean, the question is not about value at ADP. If we're talking about value ADP, I mean, I don't even really know where Waller's going. What, 4th, 5th?
3rd. In the FFPC?
Yeah,
in the 3rd round.
Oh, 3rd round? I mean, I'm not taking the tight end that early right there anyways. So I'm probably going to skip on Waller. But just as far as just the pecking order, I think Waller's number 2. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Waller's number 1. Because if that offense is utilized where, you know, because now when you have Adams, it's going to take attention away, or it's going to put attention on Adams. They might double team this guy. You got Renfrow, who everybody knows, look, he got this crazy type of footwork with his route running. We got to watch him. Waller might be the guy that's just like, hey, I'm the big target. See me.
That I think is a very, very low chance.
But how is that a low chance if we've seen in the past Waller has been the main guy?
The argument that this guy is going to take all the attention of the defense and double team and then open someone up, to some degree, yes. But that number 1 still eats. That number 1 is the number 1 for a reason, and that number 1 always still ends up.
I didn't say
we could say that. So let's look at him with Aaron Rodgers. We could have said that
They didn't have a Waller type player with Packers. Matter, they had nobody. That was the big issue with the Packers. They literally had no other option other than Adams.
But what I'm saying is, double teaming Adams apparently did not do them any good.
But they didn't.
Why would a team? So if a team knows that, like, okay, they have better weapons, why is double teaming Adams going to make?
But they didn't have any other weapons to the caliber of Waller. Waller has actually done it in the league and been a top 2-3
I know,
tight
that's what I'm
end.
saying. So instead of you could double team, you could triple team, you can roll over coverage. If Adams is the only one that you're concerned about, and yet he was still able to get 160 plus targets.
No,
and
I'm not
all those
saying
catches and all those
Adams can't get.
He still balled out.
I'm not saying Adams can't ball out. I never said Adams can't ball out.
But I'm just saying the idea that
what I'm saying is
out targets him to me is highly unrealistic.
What I'm saying is that if Adams is going to take a lot of attention away, then it's not crazy to consider the fact that Waller, who has been their main guy in the past, so it's not like he hasn't done it, but Waller now has less attention than what he's had in the past. They could easily, Carr has this rapport with him. Carr can easily say, hey, I know Adams is there. When I need him, I got him. But Waller is right there, a great tight end, somebody I've used quite a bit, who I know can produce in all facets of the game. Yeah. I'm just saying it's not crazy to consider him potentially or possibly being that guy.
I think it
now,
is.
I'm not
but hey, they could all eat. They could all eat. They really could all eat.
Right.
They're in a great division. We keep bringing it up to like that division as far as like, having shootouts, having these high point totals. They could literally all eat. They could just all, like literally almost all, like 85% of the targets could go to Waller, Renfrow, and Adams. And they could all really do well.
Here's the thing. It's a narrow route. I mean, it's a narrow wide receiver room or a narrow receiving room. Yeah. Outside those three, who else do they have?
Yeah.
And maybe I need to look into it more because they have to have somebody else, because if Renfro is going to be the slot and Adams is going to be the outside receiver, who's the other outside receiver?
So there's some talk about just Renfro just staying on the field. I don't know how that would work, but
who's the other outside receiver? Or are you saying Renfro's going to the outside?
Oh, they brought over what's the guy from the Chiefs?
DeMarcus Robinson?
Yeah,
they're saying he's like fifth, sixth string right now.
I don't know who else.
That's the thing. We don't even know who the other guy is. So it might be a situation almost like how we see the Vikings. Like, hey, everybody can produce. Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, for the record, Tyreek Hill has the highest paid contract in the league. Devontae is second.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins is third, though, a close third. So let's move on to running backs for a second. Let's talk about the Ravens. How are you guys handling this Ravens backfield? Are you drafting Dobbins? Do you think Gus kind of cuts into, like the carries? Like, how are you guys handling this Ravens backfield?
Man, I'm personally just like avoiding, and I never want to be in a situation where I just avoid. And so me just saying I'm avoiding means currently I don't know, and I need to figure it out quickly, because if I wait till everyone else figures it out, you kind of lose that advantage. So probably the best thing right now is like going for like the cheaper shares of Gus Edwards or Tyler Batty. I've seen enough of Mike Davis. I mean, I understand like he could potentially be the lead dog, but I've just seen enough where I'm like, I'm not there. We saw what happened last year when they were bringing in running backs, and it was spotty production. It was very hard to figure out. But for me, I think I had started off the offseason thinking, Dobbins in the 5th round, this is great value. And then, start to think back to last year and years prior of these running backs specifically coming off of ACLs, and then hearing that his was a little bit more complicated in the LCL. Go ahead and check out Carlos's injury video. He definitely covers those injuries. It's a little bit more concerning as far as, or a little bit not as straightforward as having an isolated ACL repair. We just know, like, a doctor is not going to clear someone until X period of time. So, like, you can't even start actual training until X period of time. And then once you start that training, it still takes some time to ramp up. And, yes, everybody is different, okay? But outside of, really one Adrian Peterson, I think backs, it takes them a while to sort of kind of get acclimated. Add into the fact that we've never seen a running back just completely dominate that running back backfield. We've never seen running backs really command a significant target share. So there's a lot of things that have to add up for like someone like a Dobbins to really, I think, pay off his ADP. Someone like you're going to spend, 4th to 5th round draft capital on, and then you may have to wait, or you may have to throw him in a lineup only to get spotty production and sit there and have to just kind of wait. And you also have to worry about the re-injury risk. There's just a lot there. There's enough there where I'm wishing and hoping for this to happen and that this falls in place for him to really kind of exceed value. So I'm staying away. I've started picking up a few shares of Gus Edwards. I think I've heard that his ACL is a little bit less complicated, and then may throw in some Batty shares kind of here or there. It's gonna be hard for me to get on Mike Davis, but this, I'm when it comes to training camp, this is one I'm just gonna be like listening closely. When are these guys starting to practice? When are they coming off the pup? If they're not practicing when training camp comes around, man, that's tough for a running back.
Yeah.
Again, it's easy for me. It's Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
Dobbins. Everything we've heard has been negative. as far as his comeback. I mean, they're talking about he's not ready.
But he said he's been ghost for a reason. You didn't see his
no, I don't care about.
He said I've been ghost for a reason.
That's fine.
Devil emoji.
The reason he's still injured. But anyways, so they're talking about it's complicated as far as he might not be ready for the beginning of training camp, or he might not be ready for the beginning of the season. And then he's coming off ACL. Gus Edwards is too, but we haven't heard anything bad about Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards might take a little while to ramp up as well. But if you're asking out of the options, it is Gus for me in that backfield, the number one option. The second option is easily Tyler Beatty. It's not even close.
Is it Beatty or Batty?
Beatty.
I like Batty.
I'm gonna say Beatty. I'm gonna say Beatty, but I think Beatty is going to day one be their pass catching back, and I think he's going to be utilized a fair amount. And my hot take, honestly, is Beatty is a better option than Dameon Pierce as far as a draft choice.
But what has the pass option back for the Ravens been? Like what does that produce in the past? That's not really.
We could say it's a chicken and the egg thing. We could say they haven't utilized the pass catching back well, so it doesn't have much value. Or we could say they haven't had somebody good enough to be utilized. And I think it's the latter with Beatty. I think he's the type of player. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't even surprise me if he actually takes on more of a workload in that backfield than we actually initially think now. Again, we're talking about the top running backs that are coming off ACL. We don't know when they're going to come back. Neither of them are practicing right now, so they're not getting the reps. You have Mike Davis, who's the new guy that came in, who's a veteran who has been utilized as a running back, but we've seen his ceiling. We know what Mike Davis can give us. We know he's not really flashy. He doesn't have really the burners. His pass catching skills are, they're okay. They're fair, but it's not anything that's going to scare you. If they see Beatty actually proving that he actually is valuable and they can use him, I mean, how many running backs do we see them carrying on the roster? Are they going to carry 4 or 3? If they say we only want to carry 3 and they feel like Dobbins and Gus, unless they put one of them on PUP, which means they're not going to count against the roster. Yeah. But if they feel like they're going to come back soon, then what's to say they might say, you know what, Mike Davis, we brought you in the middle of the offseason. We feel like your skill set is redundant to what we already have. We'll kind of roll with the young guy.
They carried 4 in the past.
No, I mean, I'm not saying what they're going. I'm just saying if they decide they just want to carry 3. Like if they say, at this time, or if they see, because Mike Davis is not going to give you anything in special teams. Or if they say, you know what, Mike Davis, you're literally only a running back and you're going to be our third string guy. Yeah. Let's actually keep a guy like a Justice Hill that actually can help us in the special teams.
My thing with Beatty, though, is you need Gus Edwards or Dobbins to have a setback. Or else you're rostering a guy that's going to end up being a third.
No. Now, the thing with Beatty, though, see, I'm not concerned with that because the thing with Beatty is he's being drafted so late, if drafted at all. Like, this is not a guy you're drafting in the 10th, 11th, or 12th. Like, you literally can draft this guy in the 18th, 19th, 20th round.
So the comments on Dameon Pierce are more ADP
if I was
related.
looking at him in a vacuum, no, it's not ADP related at all. If I was looking in a vacuum, like, I'm not drafting any Dameon Pierce. I think he's going
crazy.
way
in a vacuum. That's crazy.
I think he's going way too high.
That's crazy.
Because Dameon Pierce, to me, he's honestly in the same boat, third or fourth string right now, as far as Beatty. And Dameon Pierce does not have the pass catching skills that a Beatty has.
I think those are 2 very different situations. One, you say he's third or fourth string. There are certain players, right now he's third string because they're just starting off, right? Burkhead is 33. Burkhead is not someone who they want to give 15 to 20 touches to a game. That's just not happening. That's not happening. So really all he's got to do at some point is beat out a Marlon Mack, okay? And you can argue who's better, who's not. To me, it's clear that it's Pierce. But that's really all he has to do. And it's on a team that likely is not going to be a playoff team. So to me, there's a avenue. Is it going to be day one Dameon Pierce? No. You don't draft Dameon Pierce thinking that you got a starter day one. But could 5-6 games into the season could start his workload start increasing, he take over that? To me, the route to him getting number 1 touches is a lot clearer than Batty without needing any injury.
I think an extreme misconception with the Texans' backfield is only Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead. First off, they literally have 5 or 6 running backs there. They have guys they brought back from last year. They have guys they like a lot. Yeah. Dari Ogunbole, they got Royce Freeman.
We can say that for a lot of teams, though.
But what I'm saying is it's not just two guys he has to beat. It's really
you can say that for a lot of teams. At some point, you got to say what the talent is. I've seen Royce Freeman.
But we're talking about.
I've seen Dare Agubia. I'm not worried about.
But
those
we're
guys.
talking about just Pierce. Pierce, he's competing against more than just two guys. And the two guys you brought up, the Texans like Marlon Mack. They're going to use Marlon Mack. They're most likely going to start Marlon Mack.
I 100% agree.
Whether I said it's most likely. I'm not saying it's a for sure thing, but whether he's going to be
Colts. He's definitely going to start.
Whether he's going to produce or not is to be seen. Whether he's going to stay healthy or not is going to be seen. But I feel like if both those things do occur, Marlon Mack is going to hold on to that job. You say Rex Burkhead, they don't want to give him all those carries, but they actually did give him all those carries last year
in a spot duty. That was like 1 or 2 games. That's not something they want to do over the season.
But what I'm saying is they've done it. And then they
have not done it. That is not the case.
But they did it last year.
They did it 1 game when they had to, but that's not the case.
But they did it. That's all I'm saying.
They didn't give it, but that's 1 game. You're saying that they did it. They did not. What I'm talking about is giving someone that in between the tackle roles over the course of a season. No, they did not do it.
Listen,
they did not do it.
What I'm saying, but you just said they did it for a game, so they did do it. Is the point I'm making?
I'm saying over the course of a season.
But I'm not talking about that. All I'm saying is they've done it. They've given him a full workload.
That I don't agree with. That I don't agree with.
So you don't say for a game they gave him a full workload? The game against the Chargers, he didn't get a full workload?
He got 1 game. I'm talking about for a full season. I'm talking about for a full season.
But I'm not debating whether he's done it for a season. That's what you're saying. What I'm saying is he's done it. And because he's done it, it shows that he has had the capability to actually have a full workload type game. And Rex Burkhead is
I think you're overthinking that one.
It's not an overthinking.
If you're worried about Rex Burkhead,
I didn't say I was worried about Rex Burkhead either. You're putting words in my mouth.
I'm saying the probability of that, to even bring that into the equation, the likelihood of Rex Burkhead being the lead back throughout the season,
but I never said that
so
either.
Low that we shouldn't even be talking about that as an option.
You're putting words in my mouth. I never said any of that stuff. I'm just talking about the options they have in the backfield. Rex Burkhead also was the first free agent the Texans signed. Like immediately after the season, they immediately said, "We want you back," and they gave him a 2-year contract. Now, these are all guys that Dameon Pierce is going to have to compete against to get that job. Dameon Pierce is a rookie, just like Beatty. They were both drafted in the same round. The guys Beatty has to compete against, 2 of the guys are not even practicing right now. Like, he's literally competing against Mike Davis, who the team just brought in literally a month ago.
Yeah, but you're saying that as if they're like not. That's what I'm saying. He needs one of those guys to be injured and have a setback, because if their timeline is that they're going to be back within the first couple, by season, by the start of the season,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but here I'm looking at Dameon Pierce with guys above him that are healthy, and Beatty right now with guys above him that are not healthy. When they come back, then it's going to be almost a similar situation where they're both behind.
How's it a similar situation? You have Gus Edwards and J.K.
You're not even letting me get my point across.
Versus Marlon Mack and Rex Burkhead. Those are not the same situations.
But you're not letting me get my point across. My point is they still have guys ahead of them right now in the pecking order. But the difference with Beatty is right now when the Ravens practice, the guys ahead of him are not practicing. So when the reps are actually being allocated, Beatty is getting those reps, while Pierce is actually having to have Marlon Mack go on the field first to get those first reps, then probably Rex Burkhead, then probably Dare Agubia, then it's probably Rex Freeman, and then Pierce is eventually going to get snaps here and there. So all I'm saying is right now, if you had to choose as far as who is actually getting the coach to see what they can do, and again, as far as skill set, Beatty is the more talented receiving back compared to Pierce. And we all know with running backs, receiving or those targets are extremely valuable. Pierce is not going to have that type of skill set. They might throw it to him. I'm not saying they won't. But if I was to compare the two, Beatty easily for me is the receiving back. And again, this is I don't want to say it's a hot take. I don't want to say it's a hot take because for me, it's not hot to me. That's just how I see it.
Yeah.
But I am going to call it a hot take because the community values Pierce so high.
All right, so I didn't think that question was going to start a fight that was going to last that long. And I hate to ask this question, but let's do the same thing with the Raiders. It's Josh Jacobs. He's going in mid to late 5th round. Do we kind of see him as the number 1 back who's not going to have, his touches, post as well? Like, how do we sort of see that Raiders backfield?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna fight as much as on this one. It's not a fight, spirited debate.
Right.
No, I think Jacobs. I think it's likely that his poaches get somewhat, or his touches get somewhat poached. But where he's going, he's just it's more. It's not so much a knock against Jacobs that like I don't want to draft him at the fifth and sixth round because I don't feel like he's gonna like produce. It's more so the players that are going in and around him. Like there were so many players that are drafted where he's going that I would rather have than Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is actually a great player. I think the idea of them like not signing him up for next year and rolling with the rookie next year. Mm-hmm. To me, like I don't see it. Like and I know a lot of people are high on Zamir White, but I feel like if it doesn't cost too much, I would just retain Josh Jacobs as long as you're like you have a complement to him. I think Josh Jacobs could be highly effective. He's a very very good running back, and he can do a lot out of the backfield as well. But we can look at the coaching scheme that's coming in, okay, and see that he's used multiple backs, including having a pass catching specialist. He brought over what's the guy's name from the Patriots, Brandon Bolden. He brought him over from the Patriots, and he's older, okay, but he did bring him older. I don't know what Kenyon Drake's deal is right now. I've never been a Kenyon Drake guy, but people think he's a pass catching back, so I could definitely see this, as being, I don't want to say a three-headed monster. I think, Jacobs will lead that RBBC, but this is not necessarily just like two RBs who can do the same thing, kind of going, playing off of one another. 1A, 1B type situation. This is like RBs having specific role. And when your specific role is not defined as like the pass catching back or the 2-minute back, to me, that is not somebody that I really want to be looking at drafting in the 5th round unless you are getting a lot of the touches, unless you're like in a run heavy offense is very efficient. Like I think he goes like around Elijah Mitchell. Like I know the concerns with Elijah Mitchell, but give me Elijah Mitchell 100 times out of 100 over a Josh Jacobs. So I mean that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, Dave?
I'm avoiding all the Raiders. They it just feels like a big committee with a lot of different guys, and I feel like they're not ashamed to basically admit it. They brought in Brandon Bolden, but they also brought in Amir Abdullah, who actually produced last year for the Panthers, took over for Chuba Hubbard. They didn't accept or whatever you call it, the 5th-year option on Josh Jacobs, which is kind of big news when that first occurred. So it's almost like the regime is basically saying, you're not our guy. We are not really impressed by you, so we'll let you do this year and then you're out the door. And, you can look at it a multitude of ways. You could say, they might say, well, since we know we're not going to have you next year, we can run you into the ground. Or they could say, you know what, we're going to use our guys. Zamir White was drafted in the 4th round. Now, Zamir White is not really much of a pass-catching running back. He's more of a grinder. I'm not really even a Zamir White fan. He's had some major injuries that I feel like it's kind of sapped away a little bit of his explosiveness. But they still, from everything you heard from the moment they drafted him, they're high on Zamir, and they sound like they want him to be the future at the running back position. So all these things, all this smoke coming out of the Raiders, I'm not going to invest capital in a guy like Josh Jacobs so high. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'll be extremely surprised if Josh Jacobs actually ends up having a good year, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ends up being a bum. And then I'll look back after the season and be like, I should have saw this coming because literally all the signs were there. As far as which one I'm not drafting any Raiders. I don't really feel like any of them are really going to bring you value. It's almost like it's going to be how I used to view the Patriots with the running backs. It's you don't know who to start. You don't know whose game is going to be. Everybody's getting touches. Somebody's going to have a good game out of them, but it's going to be hard for you to pinpoint who it's going to be.
Yeah, you shouldn't you shouldn't be drafting Josh Jacobs in the 5th round when you can draft Damian Harris in the 9th and 10th round. I hate that analogy, but like that's like to me one that like fits it perfectly. Yeah. Because like really, I think what you need for Josh Jacobs to succeed is to be like extremely efficient when it comes to scoring TDs, like Damian Harris did last year. And I don't really I don't think like them drafting Zamir White or him, them not picking up his 5th-year option really makes much of a difference at all. Because I think it's just like, I think he thinks like Belichick, or he think, he's kind of bringing over that Patriot way, and what people in the NFL are saying is like, don't pay running backs, use them and then just draft them. Like they really feel like our system, like any running back can work in this system. So like you said, like I lean more towards, okay, we can run him into the ground, but even running him into the ground is not necessarily giving him, all the valuable touches that we want in fantasy outside of hopefully, maybe some of the goal line. So he's someone whose ADP, needs to come down before I even look at having a share.
All right. So do we want to talk about any other running back backfields? Because I want to ask a very controversial question, but before I ask it, I want to make sure that you guys don't want to talk about anything else.
Well, as far as backfields, I do think people need to start looking a little deeper into the Miami Dolphins backfield. I feel like all those guys
I hate
are
that
undervalued.
backfield.
I feel like all those guys are undervalued. I think they all have value. Maybe not so much Mostert, because Mostert might be one of those change of pace, come in, spell the running backs, but I feel like Chase has value, a lot of value, and he's going so late. I feel like Sony Michel has value.
Just because they have so many backs.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like I'd probably rather have Mostert than Michelle, because I feel like if Mostert is actually healthy, he'll have a lot more juice than Michelle.
Yeah, but Sony Michel is profiled more as an every down running back out of all of them.
Grinder.
Sony Michel, he's done it, and they signed him,
to the minimum.
Right, I'm just saying they signed him almost like they had their running back set, and they really still felt like, hey, we need to go get Sony Michel. So it's almost like if they're going to bring him in, they have a role set for him. So I mean, that's just how I view it. And again, he's going so late. I'm happy taking stabs on all of them because again, that offense might be offense that produces a lot more than people expect right now, and you can get all of them late. Like you can get Sony around the same time you get Marlon Mack, and when it comes to, I'm going to probably take Sony. Regardless of who the starter is now, as far as having that role, Chase Edmonds has been hurt. Mostert's been hurt. If they both get hurt, who's the guy? He's going to be Sony. So I just like that. So I think the Dolphins is a team that people are just kind of ignoring on.
I think he like Pierce more than he want to let off.
Who, Pierce? I have zero Pierce. I'm not going to draft any Pierce this year. Not one
down
share.
that hill. Man,
right.
I can't wait till he scores for a touchdown. You have 1 carry for 1 yard in a TD. I told you.
All right. If we get one question asked of us through Twitter, it is draft strategy. So if you had one strategy to choose.
Nobody's ever asked me that question.
It comes through our DMs all the time. If you have one draft strategy, just one, let's say that it's a main event team, you only have one main event team, do you go 0 RB, hero RB, or robust RB? What do you do?
That's a bad question for me.
What do you do?
I let drafts come to me.
He said you have one choice.
You got one
but,
choice.
but the thing, he's saying it as if I'm going into the draft saying this is what I'm going to do, and I'm never going to do that. I'm going to go into the draft seeing how the board starts off. If it starts off where I end up getting these great high-end wide receivers initially, then I might end up turning into a hero running back zero running back.
Okay, so you've done a couple drafts. What approach have you taken
All of
most?
them. All of them.
What's been your most?
I can honestly say it's been even.
Okay.
You don't find
if you got to
yourself
pick
falling
one,
in,
gun to your head.
I can honestly, I'm telling y'all the truth.
I'm telling you, literally, gun to your head. Somebody said you got to pick one approach that you. Okay, what approach do you think, gun to your head, would likely take it down this year? If you could just you can pick one approach. Just answer the question, man.
Y'all gonna have to
one
shoot
approach.
me. Y'all gonna have to blast my head off.
Come on.
Because I
Y'all
give you
see
a
what we gotta
approach,
deal with?
but I don't honestly feel strongly about it. So I can just say something.
Yeah,
but
just
in
say
reality, I think the
Nobody's
same.
listening. Just say it.
All of them. In reality, I see
Oh, man. This
no,
man,
seriously,
yeah,
I let
man.
the draft come to me because what happened.
Man, don't ever go into
All right,
politics.
you know what?
Actually, no, you need to go into politics.
No, because y'all making the assumption that I have a strong stance on one when I'm trying to tell y'all I don't have a strong stance on any of them.
One. We're saying pick one.
Pick one.
Can I argue all of them then? I can argue all of them.
Argue one.
One.
You
Just
get
choose
one. You get one.
I'm not answering the question there.
Why
Why don't y'all answer the question?
We are gonna answer.
Answer the question.
We asked you to answer.
And I told you my answer. Y'all don't like
You
it.
didn't give us an answer.
I told you all of
He
them
said
are
you could
viable.
pick. He said you could pick
You
one.
can pick one.
So you
But
can pick
all of
one.
Choose one.
All of them are viable
It's
to
A,
me.
know.
it's A, B, C,
All of them are
D.
viable.
If you
to me.
think that one strategy is going to be successful, the winner chose a strategy. Which one do you think the winner used for the winning team?
Just pick one.
No. Because again, they're all viable. Again, you want me to argue all of them? I can. If you want me to pick one, I can't.
What do you think?
Because they're all cool to me. They're all cool to me.
What do you think is more likely to take it down this year?
For me, I think this may be a 0 RB year. And I say that because I think there's a couple different ways you can like approach 0 RB. You can, go all wide receivers and maybe a high-end quarterback. You can go all wide receivers and get you a high-end tight end, in one of those first few rounds. And when I say 0 RB, I would say, you're not drafting your running back until, let's just say, the 5th round. Let's put it at that. And the reason that I say it's that this year is because I feel like there are a lot of running backs that are getting pushed down the board. And that's just a position like, when you talk to people, 0 RB zealots, one of the reasons they're high on it, on that approach is because of the high turnover rate. So because now we have a lot more viable RBs being pushed down to those mid to later rounds, I think that approach could be a little bit more successful, especially if you're able to lock in on 4 wide receiver ones and then really hit on those RBs. But the difference between last year or previous years versus this year is that you have multiple opportunities to try and hit on some of those RBs. I mean, there was a point where Zeke was going, in the 5th round. You obviously have Antonio Gibson, which everyone's low on, but we've talked about his, outcomes, range of outcomes. You have, players like Elijah Mitchell. And then you have obviously all the handcuff and so the ambiguous backfields that we talked about. We talked about the Texans backfield, Cardinals backfield, and there's just a list of others. And that's not even counting or starting to bring in, the idea of like players who undergo injury.
So if you're gonna say 0 running back, what if those running backs that you're saying are pushed down? So like, what if they start increasing ADP?
What do you mean? Like
those guys that you say you can get in like the 6th, 7th, 8th round. What if they ended up being 4th, 5th, 6th rounders? Do you still say?
I don't see that happening.
Okay, but what if that happens? Would you still say 0 running back is the option, or will you then adjust your strategy?
I would adjust, but he asked me the question now, and it's January 28th.
So you're saying then it depends on how the board falls. Then
I'm saying right now, I'm choosing 0
RB. But the question was at the moment. The question was what strategy is going to win this year, right?
We've had draft strategies. So
from your perspective right now.
Right.
I'm giving the advantage.
But what I'm asking is, if those running backs increase the ADP, are you now saying, well, I'm still going to do what I'm saying I'm going to do? It's just I'm going to find other running backs? Or are you just going to say this strategy is no longer viable? I'm going to
stay fluid like water.
So then to some extent that you say you're letting the draft come to you, because if the ADPs change, then those running backs that you're
we always let the draft come to us. We do not like align ourselves. I know, but the question was, pick one. Okay, which one have you done the most? Honestly, the one that I probably have done the most is still gone like robust RB. I like the RBs early.
So he said his answer was 0 running back, but now he's saying the one he did the most.
He didn't say which one have I done the most. He said which one do I think will take it down. I think the 0 RB. But I think I can wait to do 0 RB. I don't think I have to like do 0 RB right now.
So Chris, what's yours?
If you get the sixth pick right in the middle of the first round, right? Like, are you going with a running back or?
You're not going to answer that.
I'm not.
He's not gonna answer that.
Are you gonna go 0 RB? Robust?
Like y'all know me well enough to know these type of questions don't work for me. Because if Jefferson falls to number 6, I'm probably gonna take him, right?
Right.
If Jefferson's not there, I'm probably gonna take a running back, right? If the running backs I like are not there and Jefferson's not there, I might go Kelsey. So it literally depends on how the board falls. We know
that. We're just talking about draft approach. Which approach do you think is going to be more successful this year? You got to pick one. Which one do you think will be more successful this year? At the end of the year, X amount of teams were this successful. Like, which approach do you think is going to be the most successful this year based off the draft at its current state? That's not a hard question.
I already gave you all my questions. It's all of them.
I'm not asking you what you're going to do. Which one do you, which
No, I'm not saying,
I'm
not answering as if what I'm going to do.
But this takes me down a different road, though. Is because I think our second highest question is, when are you guys going to do rankings and when are you guys going to, have like a ranking show? And the thing is that what you guys do and just like the group chat, it's so fluid and things change throughout the draft season. And so a lot of players need to understand that, hey, what's being said today is really for today and maybe a week or so, but something could happen to change your entire approach.
Man, they don't care about that. They want rankings. They don't care about anything that you just said. They want rankings. We will have a ranking show.
Let the draft come to you, because if you don't let the draft come to you, you're going to end up reaching and you're going to end up losing on value. And yeah, you can go into these drafts thinking you know exactly how things are going to play out, but none of us are fortune tellers. Right. None of us know what the future holds. And you can end up accidentally falling into a team if you just let the value come to you that ends up being a great team. You know, just because you didn't see it that way in draft time. You know, so I literally go into the draft and just kind of see. Because here's the thing. If I was to draft right now, if I was getting into a draft room, I would assume Jonathan Taylor would be number one. Yet I've seen several drafts where Jonathan Taylor is not number one. So it's like the strategy switches. Like if I'm team 2,
but we're not arguing that. That's not what we're arguing. We're you know, yes, we understand that. If Jonathan Taylor falls to you at number 5, take Jonathan Taylor. We're just saying.
You're saying which strategy is going to be the winning strategy.
Not which one. Which one do you think is going to be the most successful?
That's the same thing. Which one's going to be the winning strategy? Which one is going that's going to take
Not
it down?
Not overall, because I mean he could have just got lucky based off of like the players he picked. I'm just saying, which strategy do you think is going to be most successful this year based off the current board?
Y'all keep asking me the same question. I'm going to give you a different answer. It's literally the same answer because, again, if y'all want me to explain it, I can, but it's long-winded.
No, we understand the idea of being fluid. Like it depends on how you draft. Like everybody knows.
Not even being fluid. I let the draft come to me. I don't
everybody knows that.
I don't go into the draft saying this is the best strategy for me to take at this time. I go into the draft saying when my picks fall to me, when it's time to pick, this is the best approach. And then really once I get to probably round 3, that's when I really have a good sense of, okay, this is the type of draft I'm going to do. It's going to be 0 running back. It's going to be hero running back. It's going to be robust running back.
We're not arguing any of that. We agree with that. We understand that.
Right.
We're asking you, draft is completed. All drafts are completed. Which approach do you think is going to be most successful? You're not drafting anymore. Drafts are completed. Which one, if you had to pick one, gun to your head, which one would be? Just give me a fake answer. Just say A, B, or C.
Guys, I don't have
2 or 3. Just
I
pick
don't
one.
have an answer for you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not here to just lie. I'm gonna tell you how I truly feel, and I truly feel like all of them are viable, all of them can take it down.
If you get the 3rd or 4th pick, and like I hate to put it to particular players, I know I know, but the thing is, you can force a 0 RB if you want because there's an argument.
But I'm not going to force one. I'm not going to force one.
Right. So like what I'm saying is, it's not unreasonable for you to go with Cooper Kupp, right, at the 3rd pick.
Right.
And it's
not unreasonable at all.
And it's not unreasonable to go for C Mac if he's there at the 3rd pick. But if you
not unreasonable at all. Yeah.
But if you believe in 0 RB, then you would go with Cooper Kupp over C Mac because you want to go 0 RB.
Not quite. When you're looking at players that high, it's really just more because now you're talking about the tip top of the draft. Like who is going to be the guy that's going to just be like the best player regardless of position.
Right, but like what I'm saying is if you have a mindset that I'm going 0 RB,
but that's the thing.
Then that means
but here's the problem with what you're saying. I don't have that mindset. That's what I keep trying to explain to you.
All right,
I don't
go
0
in. RB is not on the table.
No. I don't go in saying my mindset is 0 RB.
But we know
what I go in saying. Okay, let's take your analogy. If I have the 3rd pick, the exact same scenario you're saying, because every draft I've seen,
who you taking?
C Mac is going 2. Or Kupp is going to every single draft I'm saying, or Jonathan Taylor, right?
Right.
So if I'm in the 3rd pick, I'm going to take the guy that wasn't picked.
You got the 2nd pick. Jonathan Taylor is gone. You got the 2nd pick. Who you taking?
Probably C-Mac.
Okay, you're taking C-Mac. So already we know 0 RB.
0 RB is off the
No, but I think C-Mac might end up being the top overall player.
And we're not even arguing that. So
C-Mac,
you got C-Mac number 1. It comes back to you in the 2nd round. Let's just say it follows ADP. Now who you going with in the 2nd round?
It could be a receiver or a running back.
It goes ADP. Javonte Williams.
Okay, who are my options?
Javonte's off the Williams.
Let's say
Debo.
Let's say
you got
Debo,
Tyreek Hill.
I'm not taking Debo. Y'all know that.
Okay, you got Tyreek Hill.
I like Tyreek.
Okay, so you taking Tyreek Hill?
Who is my other option?
Over Aaron Jones. How about Aaron Jones?
No, Aaron Jones is not there. Aaron Jones. We're talking about ADP.
Second. Yeah.
Javonte's gone. Aaron Jones is gone. Those are, the next best running back on the board, I think, is Etienne or
Tyreek.
James Conner. Or
Tyreek.
Okay, so you're back in the 3rd round.
Okay, who's my options?
Again, same running backs, and then the next wide receivers. You got
who's the next wide receiver? Mike Evans?
No. Mike Evans likely gone, so you're looking at Pittman, you're looking at A.J. Brown, you're looking at...
I would take both of those guys over... who's
Etienne or... Oh, yeah, Nick Chubb is one. Yeah, Nick Chubb is actually...
I like Chubb. I really like Chubb. I'm not taking ETN. So if it's not Chubb, it will be one of those receivers.
Are you taking Chubb or one of those receivers? You on the clock.
So my team right now is C-Mac and Tyreek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chubb or A.J. Brown. Who's the other receiver?
Pittman. What's the
A.J. Brown, Pittman, Keenan Allen is around there.
Cincinnati receiver? I know we shouldn't even mention him. He's not
If
gonna
it, okay, I'll say it like this. If it was Evans, I would take Evans over Chubb.
Evans not there.
Easily. So again, this is what I come. This is the point I'm making.
I'm telling you,
no,
Evans
this
is not
this is the
there.
point I'm making when I say I let the draft come to me. If Evans fell to the third, then my team is going to end up being C-Mac, Tyreek, and Evans.
But Evans is not there.
But this Evans does fall to the third round sometimes.
I'm saying he is not
no,
there.
No, but this is the point I'm trying to make.
We get your point. We're trying to figure out what your optimal approach is.
Listen. If it falls that way, it's going to end up being Evans. If Evans is not available, and now I'm choosing between other options, I don't like Pittman as much as I like Chubb.
Evans is not available.
What about
Evans
T.
is,
Higgins?
no,
T.
yeah.
Higgins.
Evans is not available. T. Higgins is there. Chubb is there. A.J. Brown is there. Pittman is there.
Let's say Chubb is gone too. Let's just say that.
Chubb is there. He's not there. He's there.
But you got
he's there.
again.
See how you don't want to answer the
No,
question?
let me answer the question. Let me answer the question. I'm high on Chubb.
Okay.
I'm overly high on Chubb. So if it was another running back, say somebody else was higher on Chubb and they took him earlier than that, and now I have all these other guys that you're saying, now it probably end up being a receiver.
Chubb is there. So you're taking Chubb.
I really like Chubb, yeah.
So you take Chubb. Okay.
But my first two players were both receivers, I would still consider taking Chubb because I like Chubb because in that case Chubb fell to me.
I understand that. Well, Chubb falls to like the late third round.
And I end up taking him because I like Chubb. But if I didn't like Chubb as much as I'm saying, or if somebody else took him, then I probably would have taken a wide receiver at that point.
That's understandable, but I think what I'm trying to just get at
See,
is
I think these questions you're asking me specific players whether I like them or not. That has nothing to do with the strategy approach. Like the question was, what strategy or which type of approach do I like in these drafts? And my answer was, I let the draft fall to me. I look at again how these players when it's my time on the clock. Yeah, when it's my turn on the clock. I'm not saying
that was actually an option. I left it off on purpose.
Okay. I like value-based out.
I left it off on purpose. I knew he was gonna come after that answer.
Value-based draft is the same thing as letting the draft fall to. So that was my answer. Y'all didn't want to accept it.
Yeah, I know.
No, we didn't want to give you that answer.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're out, man. Like we are way over time.
We grilled him tonight.
Yeah.
He came through the fire though. He came through the fire.
All right, guys, we're out.
Wait, before you go, what is your answer?
Oh, 0 RB.
Oh, you're
zero RB.
You're a 0 RB guy?
I almost forced it sometimes.
I feel like I haven't seen your 0 RB drafts.
But yeah, like I almost forced. I mean, like the last draft I did.
Why do you think 0 RB is going to take it down this year?
Just because I think that running backs are becoming less and less a focus of offenses going forward. So that means that they're not going to like. There's a couple ways to look at it. You might like if you believe that they're going to be less valuable, then that means that the ones that are valuable should be taken higher. I just don't believe that like a lot of the running backs can duplicate what they did last year, and so I end up getting.
So let me ask you this: if the running backs that are going later now their ADP end up rising, like 2 full rounds higher, will you still say 0 running back and just take different running back, or would you change your strategy at that point?
It depends. I mean,
then you're not truly a 0. See, here's the thing: if y'all gonna tell me, if y'all gonna sit there and say I'm a 0 running back guy, like that's the one who's gonna take it, then it literally doesn't matter.
Well, I mean,
that's not what I'm saying.
I don't think
That's
that's
not
the
what I'm
case because I
saying.
think if you're looking at ADP, we all have the luxury of knowing what the ADP currently is.
But
you can have multiple.
changes.
But you can have multiple. That's what I'm saying right now. If I'm drafting right now, I know what the ADP is right now. So what I'm saying is, you can have multiple things playing into why you like one approach.
Right.
Some of it could be just like, I don't like running backs because they get injured. I don't want to spend that much draft capital. And then some factor could be in, I like the later running backs. So I feel like I like these guys so much.
Okay.
Why am I taking
So what you're really saying is the strategy today, this is what I like, but the strategy can change down the line.
I feel like it should. It's a draft it should.
So that way y'all are truly treating it fluid. Then y'all really not saying a certain strategy is ideal. What y'all saying is the way the draft boards look now, this is the strategy you like.
Nobody's
needed
saying
questions.
No, but
we needed answers.
No, but that's what I'm asking you. My question I'm asking you is, are you saying this strategy just in general is the top strategy? Or are you saying the way the boards look right now today, I like doing zero running back.
Real talk, I'm with you. Value-based drafting. Not necessarily value-based
See,
drafting.
so y'all just grill me all that time. In reality,
I like to grill you. I mean, he really does believe in zero RB.
Yeah, but also it depends on which pick I get. Right?
That's what, bro. Look, all right, look, follow me, A__Dayo, DAYO. Catch us next week, 1st and 15. Stay ready, we out.
Please like, rate, subscribe. We're out.